So another way that people try to add to the gospel is by assuming that the way that God has worked with them personally is the only way that God works with everyone. And so I see this happening in the negative a lot. For example, I've often observed somebody who has never experienced like charismatic gifts, they've never spoken in tongues or they've never experienced getting a word from God. I've seen people like that sometimes say, "Oh, well, God never works in that way. God would never do that." And the reason why they think that is simply because they've never experienced it themselves. And this is really recreating God in your own image. Okay. Remember, I talked about that at the beginning. And consider for a moment how arrogant the attitude is as well, because the person is basically saying that they are the standard of all things of God, right? The epitome of all the ways that God could ever work. And that if God hasn't worked in that one particular way with them, then God would obviously never work in that way with anybody ever, anywhere. You know, that's just not true. So we should be careful not to engage in this really insane, prideful way of thinking. Because just because we haven't experienced something doesn't mean that God isn't going to do that thing with someone else. So, but I do see this all the time. And we just have to remember God is so much bigger than us. He's bigger than you and you. He's bigger than the way he works with any individual, any way that he has interacted with one particular individual. He's so much bigger.